Hey everybody, welcome back to this channel. This is George with Mountain Man Common Sense. I was gifted a bunch of apples and I thought I'd jump on here and make a video and show another way to save money is to not waste what you get. I was given several apples and I've decided that I'm going to do apple butter. I'm going to do apple pie filling. So when you do apple turnovers or apple pies, whatever, you'll have stuff for that. I'm going to do apple vinegar and I'm going to do apple jelly out of the rinds and the peels and the cores. When I get done making apple jelly, I will give the hogs the cores and stuff like that once I strain it all off and go to making jelly. Same with the vinegar. When I get done making vinegar, I will drain it off, give it to the pigs so even they don't go to waste in. I try to make sure I get the most use out of everything that I get. And that way, you're not just wasting money. If you think back in the old days, people didn't have a lot. So they didn't waste nothing. And that's kind of what I want to do with this channel, show you different ways of doing stuff and to get the most out of whatever you have. Now, right here is a bag of the apples that was gifted me. And I'm no way affiliated with the Apple company or nothing like that. It's just, what was given to me. And I bought this little apple peeler a couple years ago. It don't stick to the table like it used to, but it's still one of the handiest tricks I have. And I'm going to pull this back. You insert the apple on the little prongs right here and make sure there ain't no stickers on it, because if there is, the peeler won't work as good with the sticker, so you have to pop them off. But you just simply stick it in here, turn it, and it will peel your apple. It will core the apple and leave it in nice little neat rings that you can turn into apple butter. It's real simple. These aren't very expensive. I don't know the maker of it. I've had it several years. I've lost the box to it. But you just take the apple off the core. I like to break the ends off. It's got a little peel left, and just go ahead and pitch it in there for the vinegar and the apple jelly. Make sure that there's no core down in your hole. I see a little bit in this one, so I'll break it apart till I get to where I can get to it with a knife. And I like to get all that out so it don't get into my apple butter. I put it over here in this bowl. When I get enough, I like to go ahead and just put them in gallon bags and put them in the freezer. That way they don't discolor, look real bad. But you just continue on with peeling your apples till you get them all done. And when I get this done, I will come back, show you the process of making vinegar, making apple jelly. We're going to make the apple butter, and we're going to make apple pie filling. That way we get the most use out of it. And, I could do it all in apple butter or, whatever. But how much apple butter are you going to eat in a year or two? So I try to do it in numerous things, and that way I get the most benefit out of it. Once again, break the ends off. These are sweet apple. They will work up as apple butter and stuff. You just don't want to put as much sugar in it when it comes to the process, and I'll show you that when we get to that step. Once again, there's a little core in here, so I'm going to reach in here and cut it out. Put it back over here in the bowl. Take the core, throw it down in here. And once again, I'm trying not to waste nothing. I'm trying to get the most use out of everything. I've got about 3 or 4 more bags of apples to do, so I'm going to get at this. I'm not going to make you sit here and just watch me peel apples, because that's not very exciting. But when I get all the apples done, we'll go through the steps of making vinegar and how to make the apple jelly. I'll show you how I make my apple butter in a crock pot, because I don't want to do a 15-gallon stir like it takes to do in my big apple kettle. And we'll do the apple filling, like apple pie filling, but I make apple turnovers. And, we may do a video on apple turnovers one day, because I'm telling you right now, there ain't nothing no better than some good apple turnovers. But you can use them for apple pies and stuff like that. But I want to jump on and do this real quick. I'll get these apples peeled, and I'll get right back to you, and I'll show you how to do the vinegar first. We will do the apple gel, to make the stuff for the apple jelly. And then I'll probably freeze these apples overnight. Then tomorrow I'll do the apple butter, because it takes about 8 hours. But let me get these apple peels, and I'll come straight back to you. Okay, I've got the apples peeled. As you can see, I'm just putting them in a Ziploc bag, sealing them up. I've done took several to the freezer. I've got these 2 here to still go in the freezer. And that'll be what I make my apple butter out of tomorrow, and the apple pie filling. Now, here at my feet, I've got one of the 2 buckets of apple peels and cores. And I've got a few, which I guess I could have got them back. There's a few little apples in the bowl that I'm going to be snacking on. And I'll go get me a vinegar jug. I call it vinegar jug, but it's an old pickle jug, one of the big gallon size I get at Walmart or wherever. And we'll start the process of making the vinegar. I'll show you how we start that. And I have some ladies coming tomorrow that's wanting to learn how to do apple butter, the apple pie filling, and can it and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff up till tomorrow. I will show you real quick how to do the vinegar. That's a real easy process. I'll probably go ahead and cook the rinds and stuff down tonight and put them in a jug. So tomorrow, I'm just going to put some sugar. I'm going to put some water in a pot. Cook these peels and cores till it turns into juice real good. I'll strain them, pour the juice over into probably a pickle jug. But when I get that done, that way tomorrow we can just pour the apple juice, it'll be into the pot. We'll get it to boil. We'll put the ingredients in it, make jelly. I'll show you how that's done. Today, though, we'll do the apple vinegar. And the reason I'm doing it is it takes 5% acidity in vinegar to keep your food. If you get to looking on a lot of vinegar anymore, it's just 4%. And that won't keep your food like it's supposed to. So I started making my own vinegar. I've got test strips and everything. We'll go through that as it goes to show you how to test it and know, how to make it weaker or stronger. You can keep it stronger for like cleaning, or you can use it for canning like I'm going to, and you want to get it down to about 5%, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, let me go get a jug and stuff, and I'll be right back, and we'll get to making some vinegar. Okay, now, what I have here is a gallon-sized pickle jug. I have apple cider vinegar with Mother's, and I'm no way associated with these people. This is just what I do. This is how I do it. I have an old cannon lid that I'm going to put on top of the stuff to hold it down, and I have a smaller lid that will go on top of that. But you want to keep your stuff down below the water level a little bit so it don't get all funky and nasty. But I have a coffee filter, just a plain ordinary coffee filter, a rubber band, and a gallon of my well water. My well's 245 feet deep. There's nothing in it but limestone water. So I don't recommend that you use the town water because of all the chemicals. I'm pretty sure it keeps it from making the vinegar. But I'll go ahead and get started, show you what I do, and we'll go from there. Now, I'll open the jar. Keep up with your lid. Don't lose that lid, because just sure as you do, you'll need this for something else. Like I use them to store flour, meal, sugar, and stuff like that. Salt, whatever I get extra of, and that way rats, or if you get a mouse, or I don't have no bugs or nothing, but you never know, you may find one, or maybe you do have them. But I like to put things in glass jars, that way nothing can get to it. Okay, so keep up with your lids. Okay, right here is the bucket that's got the peels and stuff in it, see? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put them in the jar. and get it about half to 2/3 full. That's what I normally do. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill it up real quick. It's a fun project to let your kids, grandchildren and stuff do too. Let them learn how to do it, because all this stuff is getting to be a lost art. People don't know how to do it. That's why, people are coming now and wanting to learn. I've got people coming to learn how to can and stuff like that, how to do dry storage, dry canning and stuff. We'll touch on stuff like that. But it's just people forgot how to do it, or they wasn't taught. We've had too easy of a life in the United States. You can run to the store, and most people in 5 minutes. It's about a 40-minute drive for me. So I do a lot of canning during the summer, and I raise about a half-acre garden. I have literally done away with my yard, so I don't have a yard to mow hardly, but it grows a lot of good vegetables. But I like to do a lot of things myself. That's probably going to be too much, but we'll see when I get in there. But as you see, it's just the peels and the cores that I'm going to use to make this. If you get too much in there, what it does, it just takes longer to work. It will work. It just takes a little longer. And now, most of the time, if you get it right, which I must very seldom not, because it takes me 3 weeks, sometimes even a little longer to get it to work like it's supposed to. But we put the apples in there like this, taking just the water, pour it in there, and I may have to get another jug, but if I do, you get the basics of it. I'm going to fill this up to about right here, right where about this top is. I'll need a little more water, but I like to do the apple cider vinegar with Mother's because it gives it a start on making the Mother's and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put some in it. There's no certain measurement. I put usually about a half a cup, and that's what's left in this jar. I'll have to get some more of it. And when I get this full, I will take this coffee filter, turn it upside down just like this. Take the rubber band, put it around it, and that way if you happen to have the gnats, the fruit gnats, or whatever them aggravating things is. Oh, I forgot a step. I'm so sorry. You put this down in there. Once you get it full, then I've got a little plastic lid I always put down there. They make floaters for cannons. I have them. I just cannot find them. I don't know what I've done with them. But I'm going to use this. But you can take and put this down in there. Then I'm going to put a plastic lid, I think's off a mayonnaise jar down in there. And that way it holds all this under the water. When that's done, I will put the filter on it, put the rubber band on it, and then I will set it just out of my way. You just let it set for about 2 weeks. You want to stir it at least once a day. I try to stir it twice a day. And you stir the bottom all the way up. Now, where these are real, real sweet apples, I didn't add no sugar. Some people add sugar, but if they're really sweet apples, you really don't have to. Now, how you know when your vinegar's done, which we'll do that in another video too, or I'll add it into this one, is it'll make little white beads right around that water line. And when it quits making them little white beads, your vinegar's done. Then you just take and strain this off into the, like into a jug or a bowl or whatever. Leave your apple peels and rinds, out of it. You get the juice, which is the vinegar. I like to put it in a jug, set it over on the side for at least 2 more weeks. It may take 3 weeks. It may take 4 weeks. But when you quit sending them little bubbles, and you'll be able to smell it. Now, if you've ever been around homebrew or something like that, you know when that's done working. But you take and just let this sit. Then when you strain it, you let it set for about 2 more weeks. And then it smells like the vinegar. And you'll have the Mother's in it. I have some over here. I'll get it and kind of show you what it looks like. But I'm going to go ahead and get the lid and everything on this. Get it over out of the way. I usually cover mine with a towel. Just to keep it in a cool, dark spot. and let it set. I'll be right back with that vinegar over there, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like. Now, this has got a little more acid in it than what it should. I haven't cut it yet, but I'll be right back with you. Okay, this is the apple cider vinegar I made. It's apple vinegar. It's not clear because the apples turned kind of a little bit brown. I could distill it and get it clear, but it works just as well like this. It's just the brown vinegar like you see at the store. This has mothers in it. You can see it forming around the bottom. And I like it with the mothers because it has a lot of health benefits and stuff too. This is sitting on about, I'm going to say 12 or 14%. And what I'll do is I will get water, cut it down till it gets to about 5%, which will make probably another, I don't know, half a gallon of vinegar. But once I get it down to 5%, I can start using it to can with. I like to use my own vinegar. That way I know what I'm doing. And I always know I have vinegar. If there happens to be a shortage of it, or a lot of people start canning and it gets so high I can't afford it, I just make it. Remember, the more you do for yourself, the more money you can save. It takes a little bit of work. It took me probably 40 minutes to peel all those apples. I'm going to get vinegar. I'm going to get apple jelly, pie filling, and apple butter out of this. And, you know, it'll probably take me 2 days if my backhoe's up to get it all done. But, you know, I'll show you how many jars of, you know, each thing we end up with. And that way, you know, you'll see that it was well worth the time. This here was that gallon I showed you a minute ago that we just made will produce about a half a gallon or a little more of vinegar. Okay. What we ended up with was 6-gallon bags of apples, as you can see. The women folk won't be here till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and start the apple butter because it takes so long. But what I'm doing is I'm running them through the food processor, and then I will put them in the crock pot and get them started. And basically what I'm doing is just letting that food processor turn them into like applesauce to save some time on the cooking. And then I will put them in the crock pot, add the sugar, cinnamon, and I always put a little bit of vanilla in mine. I just like that little bit of extra taste. But this is the apples we peeled and cored yesterday. And I have the juice and stuff ready to go to, you know, make the apple jelly. But I want to get this apple butter started because it takes so long. But I'll go ahead and get these processed out and put into the crock pots. And then I'll come back to you and we'll show you how all that works. Where my apples have been frozen, I'm leaving the little shredder blade in the bottom of this. And then I have this, and I've got it to where it's shredding the apples. I tried to just puree them, but it wouldn't work like I wanted to. So I got this running this way. And right over here is the kind of finished product that's in the crock pot. I'm going to put a few more in here to get it kind of full. And then I will add the brown sugar. I like a little brown sugar. Mine, I use white sugar and brown sugar. It gives a little better taste. And then I'll add the vanilla and all that. But I want to tell you that the apples, if they're frozen, you want to put them through, if you're going to use the food processor, put them through the shredder thing, like you're going to shred cabbage or whatever. I got the blade in the bottom of it too, just to kind of give it an extra cut. But so far, this is where we're at. This is what it looks like. And I'll continue on, and then I'll show you when I get both crock pots full and get them started, what we do from there. See, as you can see, I've overfilled this crock pot a little bit because they are frozen apples, and there's quite a bit of space in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on it and let it start cooking. And I will work on the second one of the apple butter and get it going. And then I'll start the process of the cooked apples a little later. I'll let them thaw. it looks like we're going to have a plenty to do, everything we want to do. I may just, it might be easier just do a bunch of cooked apples instead of the apple butter, but I think I will continue on with one more pot of apple butter, and then we'll make the apple pie filling, and I'll show you how that's done. But I want you to see I overfilled that crock pot because it is frozen, and it'll cook down, and there'll be space, and if I need to, I'll just add more apples when they get cooked down and get to a level till I can tell how much there is of it. Now that both crock pots are full, you can tell that one's already turning brown from being heated a little bit. This one here isn't, but what I'm going to do is I went and got my sugar jug. I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar to each one. This measures 1/3 of a cup, so I'll put 6 in each. 1, 2. I may just, let's see, that'd be 3. That's 1 cup. The small crock pot, I'm only going to put a cup and 2/3 in because it is smaller. Okay, and we'll put 6 in the one in the back. Now, the way I measure this is, I know these are a little sweeter than normal apples, and I've done this several times, and it just works out to be about what I'm putting in there. This pot here I just bought at a yard sale, so I cleaned it real good, and I'm going to try to put a little less sugar in it because it's a little smaller than the big one. I'm going to hunt me a wooden ladle, stir this to the bottom, kind of stir it in so it melts as it goes. And then basically you just set them over to the side and let them go. And about every 20-30 minutes, I would come in and give them a little stir. Some people don't. You can leave them sitting there, but I prefer to stir them a little bit, and that way all of it gets cooked down towards the bottom. And you stir the bottom to the top, and that way everything kind of comes out of even color. Let me go hunt a wooden ladle, and I'll be right back. Well, it's not a wooden ladle, it's a spoon. I'm going to try this. I don't know how well it's going to work with it being froze. I'm just going to kind of push the sugar down in there, and that way I can get the lid on it. But like I said, I overfilled these crock pots a little bit, and I just want the sugar to get in there and start cooking and caramelizing to make the apple butter. Now, here in a little bit, when it gets cooked down a little bit, I like cinnamon in mine, so I will put a stick of cinnamon in each pot. And when it's done, I will fish it out, and that way you just end up with the cinnamon. You don't break your teeth on a stick. But so far, this is the process. I'm going to go ahead and put the lids on, move them back out of the way, and then we will go to trying to do the apple pie filling, and then later on we'll do the apple jelly. I may wait for the ladies to do those two because they don't take as long, but I want you to see the process and see what I'm doing. But this is what I'm doing. I'm making 2 pots. I don't know how much it'll produce, but you know what it does? It does. It's better than watching them go to waste. Alrighty, I'll be back in a few minutes. Now that the pots are getting hot, as you can see, I put a cinnamon stick right there. It won't add a lot of cinnamon to it, but it will add just a little something. And I'm going to put just a touch of vanilla. You can put whatever brand you like. I try to find pure vanilla extract. I don't like the, I guess it would be castor oil type. But I try to use, I don't like the imitation vanilla. I try to get the real stuff. There's probably a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of vanilla in it. It just gives it a little different taste, and it kind of makes it a little interesting. If you've ever eat apple butter, you know it all kind of tastes the same. But I'm going to put the lids back on them and let them cook. And I'll come back in here in probably an hour and stir them a little bit, or maybe before, and just kind of keep them stirred from time to time. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. And I will go ahead and let these start cooking. I've already took and went and put the apples in this pot so they could thaw and be ready to cook when the girls get here. And we'll be making apple pie filling with these. And I got a little extra sugar and stuff on hand in case we need it. And we will get these started, and then we will do the apple jelly too when they get here. So y'all just hang with us, and we'll try to get all this process going. I want to jump on here real quick and stir this apple butter again. I'm coming back about every 20 or 30 minutes and just lightly stirring it, stirring the bottom up to the top so everything gets cooked evenly. And trying to not make too big of a mess. That's why I have this towel down. That way, if it does become a mess, it just gets thrown in the wash machine and it's took care of. Okay, now I'll do the other one real quick. And we're going to stir the apple cider vinegar this morning for the first time. The ladies should be getting here soon, and we'll get to doing the other stuff. I just want to wait on them and get it done. But I'm going to stir it down, and stir it up. This one looks like it ain't cooking up as well, but it will. It just takes a little longer where there's more of it. But I want to touch base with you and show you we're stirring this about every 20, 30 minutes, whatever you feel that it needs. I've seen people not stir it at all. Leave it sitting, like all night, not stir it. But I'm still trying to get the apples cooked down. And then I will put 2 wooden sticks under here and let it cook a lot of the moisture out to make them more like, the apple butter's supposed to be. Okay, now, pardon all this mess. This is canning stuff. I don't have a durry yet. I'm working on it. But all this is stuff I've canned. Here's the canning jars I've got ready. There's 20 pints, 10 quarts, and I've got some more quarts and stuff over here in a box I've washed. Right here is the apple cider, or the apple vinegar we started last night. And there's a little lid that's on top of it. There's a little canning lid to make sure everything gets held down. I'll get hit out. Okay, now I'm going to take and just kindly stir it. I do think I want to put a cup of sugar in it because I tasted it and it's not that sweet like I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to go ahead now and add a cup of sugar. And let me find my sugar bowl, and I'll put a cup of sugar in it. Okay, I did put a cup of sugar in it, even though it kind of went down in there. But I couldn't hold the sugar bowl and do all that and film too. So it's a little dark, and I apologize for that. But I'm just kind of stirring this down. And you want to see how it's making the little bubbles right here on the side? It's got little white bubbles right there. Well, that's the first sign it's starting to work. And when you get to where you don't see those, it's worked and turned into vinegar. But right now it's just making like an apple cider. But I'm going to go ahead and put this back on and make sure everything, is below it. I'll go ahead and put the top back on, the coffee filter back on, the rubber band. That way, if you do have any kind of them little fruit fly things, there is some here, but I've been trying to kill them. That's all you have to do. You do it twice. I'd like to do it twice a day. Stir it twice a day. After about 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, it'll turn into, to the stage where you want to put it in the jug, strain it, put it in a jug, and turn it into vinegar. Now, I'll show you this right quick. Right there, if you can see them, is some eggs I have in lime water. And I will later show you how to do that. But some of these eggs are 2-year-old and they are still perfectly fine. I didn't know they would last that long, but I tried it. I tried some and they're perfectly fine. But right there they are. And I will do a video later of how to do that. I just don't have time to do it today. But once again, there's all the jars. We have more if we need them. But I will, as soon as the ladies get here, I will get back in touch with you and we'll start the canning process. Okay, we're here. The ladies got here, and we're going to go ahead and start the pie filling. And what I'm going to do with it is, I'm going to put a little water in there, just about a pint, to kind of give it something to start with so it don't scorch. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon, maybe 2 of lemon juice to kind of give it just a little bit of tartness and a little bit of acidity. It kind of helps it hold too. So I'll put 2 in there, and I'm going to go ahead and put, according to the apples, if you come over here and look, we've got about this many apples in here. So I'm going to say about 1 gallon or 2 gallon apples. I'm going to put 1 cup of sugar to start because they are really sweet. And I'm going to, I'll taste it later when it gets kind of cooked down and see. Now I've already put a cinnamon stick in here, and I've already put vanilla in here to give it the flavor of cinnamon stuff. And this is 1/3 of a cup. I'm going to put 3 of them in there to start. Then if it needs more, I can always add a little more. We'll set this to the side. I'm going to steal the spoon out of this, which this is the apple butter still cooking. I'm going to kind of give this a quick stir to give it the sugar and stuff and mix around. These are still a little bit frozen. Right there's one of the cinnamon sticks. But that's to give it a little bit of a cinnamon flavor. I'm going to put it back here on the back eye and let it cook back here, because it'll take a little while to cook those apples down. And we'll just keep it stirred like we are everything else. And we will get the apple juice. Let me grab a towel. That pot is sweated on the stove. I'm going to get that up before we have a mess. Okay, I'm going to go over here and grab a pot. And I'm going to put the apple juice we made yesterday in that pot. We may have to make 2 batches. I don't know if that pot will hold it all. We can hope. Okay, this is 1 gallon. So we know that's 16 cups. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the pot. If it holds it all, we got it made. If not, we'll have to do like a half of a jug at a time. Now this is cloudy, but it will clear up as we cook it. And if it is a little cloudy, that just means there's more apple flavor to it. But we're going to do a big batch of the apple jelly. Get all the goodness out of there. Okay, it held it. Okay, I'm going to turn this on and let it start to heat up. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice to this right now. Just to kind of give it some acidity. I will be using pectin with this, but I want to go ahead and put a little lemon juice in there to give it a little zing, you know, a little something extra. You can use fresh lemon. This is just so much easier. It's cheaper. It's you know, it's acid. It's not, it'll last forever. Just put it back in the refrigerator to keep it cold, and you're good to go. When this comes to a boil, I'll start stirring it. I can go ahead and add the sugar, but I like to wait for it to get hot enough to melt the sugar when I start to boil it. And we'll boil it. Once it gets to boiling, we'll put the pectin in it, and we will let it boil at 220 degrees for 1 minute. Once it does that, we'll go ahead and get the jars and put the jelly in it. Now, I'm going to turn my oven on because I'd rather do it in the oven. That's how I heat my jars. And I'm going to take it, I think the lowest setting on my oven is like 200 degrees. No, actually it's 170. Okay, now I'm going to put several jars in the oven, so when the jelly and the apples and stuff get ready, I'm going to go ahead and turn this up because it's got to be about 220 and I won't break jars. So I'm going to put it on about 215. That way there's not that big of a temperature difference. But I'm going to fill the oven with jars. That way when I take them out of the oven, I can bring them up here, put the jelly or the apple pie filling in them. We won't break jars. And then we'll put the lids and stuff on them, clean them, set them to the side, and wait for them to seal. I don't water bath afterward. A lot of people do, but if that jar is 200 degrees and the stuff you put in is 200 degrees, you put new lids on it and stuff, it will seal. You can, I'm not saying don't. You can pressure can if you want to. I just don't. I've got apple butter back here that's 5-year old. It ain't moldy. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just the way I do it. If you want to do it another way, that's fine. But this is the way I do it. Now, as this heats up, I'm going to go ahead and put the jars in the oven. And that way, they'll be getting hot. So let me get right here behind you. Now, I lay my jars down. It's just, they lay better that way. I don't have to worry about tipping them over. They're already over. And we're going to fill the oven with jars and get them good and hot. I don't know how many it's going to take, but we're going to do pints first. When we run out of pints, we'll do quarts. I'd rather have them in little pint jars. It's a lot less to eat. These jars are clean. I washed them, and I even put a little bleach in the water and rinsed them good to make sure that they were sterile.
It's all little hole.
Okay. You can double stack them, but as we use them, we can put more back in. So we'll just let those heat. We'll wait on this to come to a little bit of a boil. We'll add the sugar to it. We're letting this come to a boil. And we'll keep this continuously stirred. Once they cook down and kind of look like, I don't want them hard to applesauce. I still want some apples in it. I want little chunks. So when you make a pie, you can actually taste the apple better. And if you make the apple turnovers, you know, it gives it a little better texture. These we won't cook down to applesauce. If you look over here at the apple butter, it's coming along. I'm still stirring it. And right now you can put it up like applesauce. But in a couple more hours, it'll turn brown, it'll caramelize, and turn into apple butter. As you see, I got this one in here to vent this one, so it kind of takes some water out of it. This one here has 2 vent holes, and you really don't have to do that. That one's a little full, but that's okay. Let me steal this spoon back. And I'm going to stir it down. Now this one here will be way the apple pie filling looks when we get it done. Because see the little chunks of apple and stuff in it? And that makes real good pie filling. But, you know, we're trying to get the most product out of the apples we can. That way we're not wasting nothing. And we're making a good use of everything. I done put the cores and stuff out of this into the pig slop. And took it down there to them. And they were sure happy to have it. And I done stirred the apple vinegar. And this evening I'll stir it again. But even when that gets done, they'll get the cores out of it. They really like that because it kind of turns a little alcoholic. I don't know if pigs get a buzz, but I've seen some on YouTube. Looks like they're pretty drunk. But there's not enough in one thing to make you get a pig drunk or, you know, something like that. But that might give them a little, you know, sweeter taste or something. But we'll get this going. And once this starts boiling, we'll come back and start the video again. I'll add the sugar and everything to it, and we'll continue from there.